I had heard about Scarface for a long time because I was working on a play by Bertolt Brecht called Arturo Ui, which was very influenced by the American gangster picture. And I heard, even as a kid, I remember my relatives talking about the Scarface and how George Raft flips the $50. And so I had heard a lot about it and never saw the picture. So I was one day walking along Sunset Boulevard, of all places, and there was the, I believe it's the Tiffany Theater now, and it was playing in a double bill with something else, I forget. It was Scarface, and there was a few of us. So I said, well, why don't we just go and take a look at it? And we went in, and it was, you know, an astounding movie, astounding. And the performance of Paul Muniz was astounding and inspiring. And I thought after that, that I just wanted to, you know, I wanted to imitate him. I wanted to do something. I was inspired by that performance. And I called Marty Bregman, who then put together some people, and they started working on developing this as a film.
I'm Tony Montana, a political prisoner from Cuba. And I want my fucking human right now.
I felt that this Scarface was a piece of so many different kinds of gangsters we've seen. He was representative of a collective person. He wasn't organized so much. He seemed almost like a renegade in all of this. Even though he would comply, you knew eventually that he couldn't stick to any format, any controlled environment. He was out of control, which was an attractive thing in his character to play.
The group that we surrounded Pacino with in the film were all Cuban, basically all Cuban. Anytime that there was a problem in the accent, in Al's accent, they had the right to interfere and suggest that he was off with it.
You a communist? Huh? How'd you like it? They tell you all the time what to do, what to think, what to feel.
Robert Easton was a tremendous help to me with the dialect, and also the Cuban people who I met and spoke with, who gave me a lot of insights into some of the mannerisms and stuff, all of which I tried to put into a capsule and swallow and see what would come out. And I was trying more not to be as authentic, because I don't believe you can really be authentic unless you can mimic very well. But if I could take the accent and the mannerisms and sort of just heighten them in a way for this approach to this movie, because I think Brian De Palma was going to take a larger-than-life approach to this film, to conceptually deal with the movie in a more operatic style, just slightly larger than life. And so I think that was incorporated into my interpretation.
Al did a lot of interesting things. When I first met him, we were doing some screen tests. We were testing Michelle Pfeiffer and other ladies. And then after we finished that day, he said, "Johnny, can I ask you a big favor?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "Only speak Spanish to me once we start the movie." I said, "Really? Why?" He said, I want to hear Spanish. And he said, "Maybe I don't understand, but just talk to me in Spanish." So I did. For the entire picture, Al Pacino and John Alonzo spoke Spanish.
He was Spanish himself, so when I was off with an accent, I asked John if he would help me. And I love that he spoke to me in Spanish.
That's part of his preparation, and I think that's part of what makes him one of America's finest actors.
We had a month of rehearsal time. This is unheard of, you know, but Bregman insisted on it, and Brian insisted on it, and we rehearsed that thing. We could have taken it on the road like a play. Scene, 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 bang, bang, bang. We had a great cast, you know, these great actors. Brian was great, his graciousness and his generosity and the wisdom, really, that it took to allow what he allowed, allow for exploration and spontaneity when there was room for it.
It was a whole ensemble piece, and a lot of playing the scenes back and forth, and Al and the other actors would find, you know, they would improvise things and find things to build into the scenes, and Oliver would come back and rewrite them. There was a lot of that.
Where'd you get the beauty scar, tough guy? Eating pussy?
How am I gonna get a scar like that eating pussy?
Al was very worried that it looked phony, it was too big, it was too small, so we did many makeup tests until we came up with something we all sort of liked.
I felt this character was good with a knife and had fought with a knife. And the scar really came from one of those fights, and I thought it would be interesting if it got to the eyebrow, and the action pulled my head away and it went down even further. into this part of the face. So there's one up here and here. I like the different places because I think it was evocative of a chaotic wildness in this guy, that he was all over the place. He had one here and one there, you know.
Manny, look at this pelican fly. Come on, pelican.
The humor was a part of what I thought right from the start would be necessary in order to get this guy so that you could laugh at him also, because if not, it was just going to be a one-way street.
Playtime is over, okay?
That's a Carla.
It looks like somebody's nightmare.
You needed to find those odd things, those twists, those ironies, to give the character some intelligence too, you know, so that there was something else going on also. Otherwise, it would be too blunt and too hard to take, I think. Stephen and I became very close friends, and we spent much time together, and just going over our relationship and what it was in the past, and we enjoyed it. We had fun doing that, making a kind of a scenario, making up a story, and that was a lot of the work we did together.
Told him what you told me to tell him. Told him I was in sanitation. They didn't go for it.
Sanitation?
Yeah.
I told you to tell him you was in a sanitarium, not sanitation.
Mary Elizabeth, I remember rehearsing with her and going over some. I can even remember talking about what was going on in this relationship, because it was a strange thing that does take place, and I don't think he thought of his sister that way. But he felt a love for her, and he felt a purity for her that obviously represented something to him. He endowed her with this kind of innocence and saintliness. It was an odd thing and an interesting thing to have in a movie. It had a certain tragic element to it.
Tony gets the American dream, but it's hollow because there's nothing going on spiritually. He can't love. He can't love Michelle Pfeiffer. He can't reach across. He can't connect.
I have Nick the pig as a friend. What kind of life is that? Can't you see what we're becoming to?
All he can love is his sister, his blood, but his ability to imagine a form of love outside himself is gone by the materialism that surrounds him, is destroyed by it. I thought that Al reminded me always of Humphrey Bogart, with that kind of narrow face and those kind of nervous eyes of his, and I thought that it'd be a great finale for him to be buried in a mound of gold dust or cocaine, you know, like just crash into it.
The cocaine that Al snorted was real. No, I don't know what Al was snorting, to tell you the truth. I do remember we tried out baby milk, which is dried milk, but there was nothing easy to snort because it would get in your nose and you'd be blowing his nose all the time. But I never snorted it, so I can't really attest to what it was.
I don't like to give away that secret because it takes away from somebody's belief. You have to have a secret. I mean, that's part of what we do. The only memory I have of that is putting myself in a kind of trance-like state, because I was in a coked-up state as the character. So I found myself every day going into this room with all these guns and all this smoke and all this hell, actually, and I would put myself in some kind of give myself a kind of mantra and just go in, bite the bullet, and you know, spend the 12, 14 hours there every day in, day out, just shooting that sequence.
Say hello to my little friend!
Once you find that you get into a rhythm, and if you're relaxed when you're doing it, you can take anything. You get zen about it, because if you, for once, take a look around you, it's just unendurable. It is one of my favorite films. I felt that what I started out tried to do with that character, make that character in a way, and this sounds strange, I know, but I picked the 2 dimensions, not 3 dimensions for this character. This side and that side. And I went with, you know, sort of tried to go with the glow, you know, and say, this is it, this is what you see. And I didn't try to go into another area with it. And so I felt, in terms of that, I might have succeeded.
And I know every actor I've ever met does Tony Montana.
This country, you gotta make the money first. Then when you get the money, you get the power. Then when you get the power, then you get the woman.
You know, whether it's Bruce Willis, who does an incredible Tony Montana, or Tom Cruise, who does an incredible Tony Montana, or Alec Baldwin. I mean, you know, they all do him. I mean, it's like, you know, we used to do Marlon Brando and On the Waterfront. You know, it's such an audacious character with such wonderful lines. You know, and Al did such an incredible performance that, you know, every actor in the world loves to play that part.